So, hello everyone. I hope I'm audible and visible. Please give me a quick thumbs up if my audio video is fine. Raj, Mayank, Dr. Kumar, Pratik, everyone give me a quick thumbs up if my audio video is fine. Priyam, then we have Formal Pants, Faith, Shweta, Rameshwar, Abhirami, Devika, Angel, Vishnu, very well done. And Abhirami, I hope you are the same Abhirami who got a good score in NEET PG. Is that? Are you the same student? Because I remember this name on the list. So please give me a thumbs up. And if you are the same person, then congratulations to you for achieving such a good score in your NEET PG. So till the others join, let me upload the file for all of you. And where is the file? Yes. Okay, ji. Very well done. So we are done with the uploading. Good afternoon, all of you. And in this session, I'll be discussing a lot of MCQs, which are clinical based, and they're actually must know questions. If you're targeting INICT right now, which is almost 15 days from today, if you're targeting INICT, these questions will help you a lot. Okay, this will give you an idea that what all topics you can expect in your upcoming entrance examination from dermatology. Now, all my INI-CT aspirants, a humble request to you, please do not leave STD if you're targeting INI-CT, because STD caters a good number of students or a good number of questions, which is very, very important for you. Since the last 2 or 3 INI-CT, I'm seeing the same thing. Almost 50% of the total questions of dermatology are from STD. So I've tried to get STD questions also, and we have many new questions as well. So let's begin the today's session. If anyone has any confusion, because I can see one confusion wala smiley, please let me know what is the confusion. I think everybody knows me now. I am Dr. Cheshta Agarwal, your NEET PG educator, and I have myself scored All India rank 261 in my NEET PG. You are on the best online platform, that is Unacademy, which give you two type of subscriptions. One is Plus, which give you an access to Unacademy live classes, access to 25,000 plus questions, printed notes, live quizzes, tests, etc. And we have Iconic, which give you an access to Unacademy and Prep Ladder together. Prep Ladder has an added advantage of clinical integrated essentials, video lectures, question bank, rapid revision, snapshots, treasure notes, or dream notes. Now, there are many, many important offers which I wanted to discuss. But first, please remember that we have a very highly effective question bank of around 25,000 plus questions. Now, this offer has been extended till I think 28th or 29th. So if you take a 24-month subscription, you will get 4 months free. And if you buy a 12-month subscription, 2 months is free. The next is one exam, a free mock test is scheduled for this Sunday, 31st October, 10 a.m. for FMG. We are already done with INI, CT and NEET PG mock test. We also have a feature which is known as raise a hand. So if you have any doubt, you can just raise your hand and ask your doubt. The batches which have started recently are the target batch for NEET PG 2022, high demand batch. I request all of you to please be a part of it. We have also started the INI CT batch for rapid revision. I request all of you to please be a part of it. And there is a clinical integrated and instrument batch for final year MBBS students. Whatever you want to take, I request all of you to please use my code. My code is CHESTA10. This will give you additional 10% discount. Please remember, for Plus, for 6 months, you have 1 month free if you take the subscription today. For 12 months, 2 months is free. And for 24 months, 4 months is free. And using the code CHESTA10 will give you additional 10% discount. Okay, I hope this is clear. Let's begin with the first question of the today's session. Very, very interesting and a repeat question. I'll give you 30 seconds per question. For all the questions, I'll be giving you 30 seconds. The questions are from the important topics which can be expected in your upcoming INI CT. Some of them are PYQs, direct PYQs, and some of them are the new questions which you can expect in your exam. Very nice. Dr. Nadia, Prapanjeshwari, Formal Pant, Vaishnavi, Kumar, Ravi, Surya, K, Vishnu, Sarita, Goda. Very nice, all of you. Very well done. Now, what is this a case of? A female with genital wart history of recurrence, but husband is not having the genital warts. Now, whenever you get a patient of genital wart, you do not give the prophylactic antivirals to its partner, because there's no role of oral antivirals in the patient or in the partner. The only thing which you have to advise the patient is to avoid the direct contact, that is the sexual intercourse, when there is active lesion. There is no role of any antivirals or any, even there is no role of any vaccines, because there are few students who have asked me that, ma'am, can we give vaccines here? But the answer is no. Can you tell me why vaccines have no prophylactic effect on the genital warts? Anyone? Anybody can tell me why you cannot give vaccines to prevent genital wart? For example, we have Gardasil, Cervarix, which are available. Very nice, Kumar. Please remember, genital wart is because of HPV 6 and 11. And those vaccines are for the different strains. Can you tell me what are the strains for which you have vaccine? It is 16, 18, 30, 33, 31. Okay, so please remember these strains are different, and that is why even vaccines even vaccines cannot give you a complete prophylaxis. This was a direct repeat from the AIMS paper, so please remember this point. Anyone has any confusion, please write it down, and if there is no confusion, I can move straight away to the next question. Okay, so we have around 110 or 20 students. Please give me a thumbs up, and if anyone has any doubt, let me know. There is no prophylactic measure. The only best measure is abstinence from sexual intercourse. Okay, ji. Let's move to the next question. So I think now you can see it very, very clearly. A 43-year-old gentleman with a history of bronchial asthma, recently diagnosed gastric leiomyoma. He had noticed yellowish orange discoloration of both hands and feet for the past few weeks. He denied any itching or darkening of the urine. On examination, sclera was anicteric and the liver function test as well as coagulation profiles were absolutely normal. On taking further history, the patient reports that he is consuming mainly the diet of papaya and mango. So actually, the last point is something which is helping you making the diagnosis, and this is a very, very classical case of carotenemias. What does this carotenemias do? The beta carotene, it gets deposited into the skin, causing yellowish discoloration. Can you tell me how to differentiate the yellowish discoloration of carotenemias from obstructive liver jaundice? Anyone? Can you tell me how to differentiate it from the jaundice? There are 2 points. First, the liver function test will be normal, and second point is the involvement of the conjunctiva is not seen in carotenemias. Understood? So sclera will be normal in carotenemias, while in jaundice you will see pallor of sclera as well. Clear? And obviously the liver function test will be normal, because in obstructive liver condition you will see raised liver function test. Okay, ji. So I think this question is clear. The only thing which you have to ask this patient is to reduce the diet containing mainly carotenes like papaya, mango, even carrot have a lot of carotenes in them. So you have to ask them to avoid all these agents. Okay, ji. Now, can you answer this question? Deep Yaman, there is no antiviral for HPV infection. We do not have any antivirals. If you get warts, you don't have any specific antivirals. For example, acyclovir, valcyclovir, they work against herpes simplex virus, but they do not work well against human papilloma virus, and that is why there is no point of giving antivirals. Understood? Chalo ji, good. Now, only 44% of the total students have answered this question. It's a very, very easy question. Now, I think everybody knows that pigmentary disorders has been classified broadly into two groups. When you have decreased pigmentation, which is known as hypopigmentary, and when you have increased pigmentation, which is known as hyperpigmentary disorders. Now, hypo and hyper, they are further divided into congenital and acquired causes. What are the congenital causes of hypopigmentation? These are Griscelli, Chidak-Higashi, Piebaldism, and Waardenburg syndrome. How to differentiate each of them? For piebaldism and Waardenburg syndrome, can you tell me one characteristic feature which helps to differentiate this from the other differential diagnosis? Anyone? They have a characteristic whitish patch on the forehead associated with the leukotrichia known as white forelock. And in Waardenburg, you have associated sensory neural deafness. So these two can easily be ruled out, but here nothing like that is given in the question. Now comes two things, Griscelli and Chidak-Higashi syndrome. Now in Griscelli and Chidak-Higashi, both of them presents with hypopigmentation of the skin. But please remember, in Chidak-Higashi, the eyes are absolutely normal. You have no nystagmus, you have no hypopigmentation of the fundus or retina. The eyes are absolutely normal, and that helps in differentiating it from Chidak-Higashi, which is actually a variant of oculocutaneous albinism. It has a List gene defect, and because of List gene defect, they have increased risk of recurrent infection, and that is what is given in this question. Do you all understood? Very interesting, but very important question. Griscelli, Chidak-Higashi, piebaldism, and Waardenburg. Only 3 students have given me thumbs up. What about the remaining 90 students or 100 students? I hope everybody have understood why the answer is option number 2, because it is a variant of oculocutaneous albinism. Chalo ji, very, very nice. Let's move to the next question. And I will start the poll for all of you straight away. This is Bloom. This N is extra, so very sorry for that. A 3-year-old boy with the history of burning sensation. Please answer this question. Very well done, all of you. Very nice. Very well done. Very nice. Now, a 13-year-old boy presented with history of burning sensation on exposure to sun. On examination, he has grade 1 malnutrition, dull brown pigmentation with areas of speckled hypopigmentation, telangiectasias over the exposed part. So what are the features given? One is telangiectasia. Another is you have speckled pigmentation, which means at few places it is dark, at few places it is light. This type of pigmentation is known as reticular pigmentation. And along with that, if you have skin atrophy, can you tell me what does this triad known as? Anyone can tell me what does this triad known as? Very nice. This triad is known as triad of poikiloderma. This is known as triad of poikiloderma. Agree with me or not? Agree with me or not? Yes or no? So poikilodermatous syndrome, the answer is Rothman-Thompson syndrome. Rothman-Thompson syndrome is an example of poikilodermatous syndrome. Understood or not? Very important. Can you tell me what are the other poikilodermatous syndromes? We have one is Rothman-Thompson. Second one is anyone? Dyskeratosis congenita. Dyskeratosis congenita. And what is the third one? Third is Kindler syndrome. These can be asked very, very frequently. Please remember what are the poikilodermatous. Poikilodermatous syndrome. Okay? And can you tell me what are these other 3 examples? They belongs to which group? They all are DNA repair defects. They are DNA repair defects. Okay? DNA repair defects. Very nice, everyone. So I think it's a very interesting question, and it is clear, absolutely clear now. There's no confusion with this particular question. Should I go to the next question? आगे बढ़े? Any confusion? Okay. So there are 2 groups, poikilodermatous. Another is the DNA repair defect disorders. Next question is on your computer screen. Can you all answer this question? Of 5 days after an unprotected homosexual intercourse, 27-year-old male presented with complaints of burning sensation, no pus, but on milking the urethra, some discharge was collected. This question is being asked, or this question got repeated back to back twice in INICT. And you won't believe that this year it was there on FMGE paper also. So very important. In FMG paper, they have given you the picture of the genitals with the discharge coming out per urethra. And in INICT, they have actually given you a microscopic image showing the organism. This is a very, very classical example of gonococcal urethritis. Now, the most common question or confusion is how to differentiate between gonococcal and non-gonococcal. So please make a chart for gonococcal and non-gonococcal. The first very important point is incubation period, which is always less than a week for gonococcal and more than 2 weeks for non-gonococcal. So you can see that the incubation period was 5 days in this patient. First point. Second point is when you do a gram stain, you will see presence of polymorphonuclear cell plus gram negative diplococci. But in non-gonococcal urethritis, you will only see polymorphonuclear cell. There is no organism. Clear? And what is the third point? Anyone? What is the third point? The third point is when you culture it, you can easily grow the colonies of Neisseria gonorrhea, while for non-gonococcal urethritis, you cannot grow the organism on the normal culture. Okay? So these points help in differentiating them from each other. Understood? Any confusion? Anyone has any confusion? Okay. A 50-year-old male with uncontrolled diabetes, how will you treat this patient? Uncontrolled diabetes and hypertension, how will you treat them? Please answer this question. Very nice, all of you, very nice. So a 52-year-old male with uncontrolled diabetes, hypertension and severe airborne contact dermatitis, which is the most appropriate drug? Now you will see that majority of you have written corticosteroids. Do you think that corticosteroid is the best treatment modality for this patient? Yes or no? No. Why? Because there is uncontrolled diabetes. So will you give steroids? Steroids will aggravate or will cause more uncontrol in the diabetes. So obviously steroids cannot be the answer. Okay, Ji. What is the next preferred drug? You give cyclosporin. But please remember, cyclosporin can affect kidneys and it can cause hypertension. And that is why you will not give because patient is already a known case of hypertension. The only left option which works very well against airborne contact dermatitis is azithromycin, and that is why the treatment of choice in a patient with diabetes and hypertension with uncontrolled diabetes is azathioprine. Understood or not? Very important and easy. Please give me a thumbs up if you understood this point. Chalo ji, badhiya, badhiya. Nice, nice. What about thalidomide? Khushbu, thalidomide do not work very well in patients of airborne contact dermatitis because the main role of thalidomide is against TNF alpha, and you do not see much of TNF alpha getting increased in the airborne contact dermatitis. Clear? Anyone has any confusion? Anyone has any confusion? Now Shiva is asking, ma'am, drug of choice is ceftriaxone or tablet azathioprine? Shiva, it depends what exactly the examiner is asking. Now, if they ask that what is the drug of choice for urethritis secondary to STD, please remember azithromycin can take care of both gonococcal and non-gonococcal. But if you ask specifically for gonococcus, which is very, very effective, then I will write ceftriaxone, which is very effective against gonococcus. Okay, na? For diabetes, we can give, yeah, that you can do. Obviously, Satyapal, you can do anything. You can control diabetes and you can give the drug. But for this question, please do not mark corticosteroids because they have not asked you anything like adding insulin or nothing like that. Okay? You can do whatever you want when you get the patient, but for exams, you have to mark what is the best possible answer. Should I go to the next question? Any more doubts? Any more confusions? No? Chalo, badhiya, good. Next question is here. 25-year-old men, small itchy wheals after physical exertion, walking in the sun, eating hot spicy food. When he is angry, what is the most likely diagnosis? I think it's a straightforward question, so we will not waste much time. A straightforward question. Okay, ji. So whenever a patient develops itching or urticaria on increase in the core body temperature, it is known as cholinergic urticaria. Why it is known as cholinergic urticaria? Because when the core body temperature increases, the hypothalamus sends the signal and it releases acetylcholine, and this acetylcholine will then cause development of wheals or urticaria, which is known as cholinergic urticaria. Let's move to the next question, which is given on your screen. A 40-year-old woman, Shelley, presented to dermatology OPD with 2-year history of erythematous papular-pustular lesions on the convexity. She reports that these lesions increases whenever she goes out or whenever she gets angry. On examination, we could see the background of telangiectasia. What is the most likely diagnosis? Very nice, all of you. Shweta, Vaishnavi, Ravi, Zoya, Surbhi, Samira, Vipin, Pratik, Nana, Rajat, Kumar, Archana. Very nice, all my dear students. Very, very nice. Now, this is a classical case of rosacea. Can you tell me what are the points which favors the diagnosis? Age. Please remember in acne vulgaris, what is the age? It is the young adolescent age group. While in rosacea, it is usually the middle age. Middle age. Okay, that is one point. Second is the exacerbation of the condition with either anger when a patient gets angry or when a patient goes out in sun. All these features will favor the diagnosis of rosacea, and there is absence of comedone, which also favors the diagnosis of rosacea. Clear? So all these features tells you that you are dealing with a case of acne rosacea, not acne vulgaris. Very, very nice. The next question is here. Very nice. Shweta, Nandini, Kumar, Raj, Archana, Prapanjeshwari, Zoya, Srishti, Swara, Dr. Tarek, Rashi, Dr. Nadia, Aim, Dr. Cardio. Very nice, all of you. Very, very happy to see your response. Now, there is a equal proportion of students who have marked option number 2 and those who have marked option number 3. Okay. Now, please remember, whenever they write either a history of cancer or they will give you in the exam that patient has taken chemotherapy, always remember that the answer is anagen effluvium. Do not get confused. Now, why it is anagen effluvium? Because everybody knows that hair cycle includes anagen, then you have catagen, then you have telogen, and please remember after telogen you have shedding of the hair. Please give me a thumbs up if everybody knows about this. Shading of hair. Please give me a thumbs up if everybody knows about this. Okay? Yes. Now, what happens when a patient takes chemotherapeutic agent? Chemotherapeutic agent will go and affect the rapidly dividing cells. And where do you have rapidly dividing cells in your hair? It is present in the anagen phase, which is the growth phase. So, chemotherapeutic agent will go and affect the hair in their anagen phase, causing the shedding of the hair after anagen. And this shedding of hair is then called as anagen effluvium. Understood what is anagen effluvium? Please give me a thumbs up. Please don't get confused with telogen effluvium. It is anagen effluvium because chemotherapeutic agent directly goes and affect the rapidly dividing cell. It goes and affect the rapidly dividing cells. Chalo ji, very nice. Now moving to the next question. Primary gravida presented in the late second trimester with itchy erythematous papule plaques that progressed to tense vesiculobullous lesions over the lower abdomen involving the periumbilical areas. Direct immunofluorescence shows presence of linear C3 or IgG. Which of the following statement about this skin disease is not true? Very nice. Anybody here can tell me the diagnosis? What is the diagnosis in this patient? Kushi, Hirendra, Archana, Florida, Hassan, Satyapal. What is PPP? No, it is not the papular pruritic eruptions of pregnancy. Not pustular psoriasis. No, this is pemphigoid gestationalis. Pemphigoid gestationalis or bullous pemphigoid of pregnancy, which manifest in the third or second or third trimester, late part of the pregnancy. Now, what happens? The female develops antibodies against the amniotic membrane of the fetus, and these antibodies cross react with the basement membrane zone component, that is BP antigen 2, causing tense blisters in the female. These blisters are mainly located in the flexures or around the umbilical area. Estrogen is actually an aggravating factor, and that is why it occurs later in the pregnancy. But please remember, it has nothing to do with herpes. Actually, its another name is herpes gestationalis. But please remember, this is a misnomer. The word herpes is actually used because the lesions are present in groups. Clear or not? Rajesh, Rameshwar, Mahima, Prapanjeshwari, Keta, Ravi, all of you give me a thumbs up. The only incorrect statement is option number 3. Rest all are right. ठीक है जी, आगे बढ़ जाएं. Very well done. The next question is here on your screen. A 2-year-old, actually it should be 20-year-old because usually you do not get the disease in a 2-year-old that frequently. So just assume that it is a 20-year-old man who has multiple small hyperpigmented macules, mainly on the trunk. The macules are circular, arranged around the follicles, and they have coalesced to form the large sheets. Very nice. This is a classical case of pityriasis versicolor. And how to treat pityriasis versicolor? You have to give how to diagnose, you have to do a KOH mount, and how to treat, you have to give a azole group of drug or selenium sulfate. Ma'am, in the previous question, why the newborn develops Shweta, what happens? The antibodies which are formed in the mother, sometimes it cross the placenta and it affects the basement membrane zone of newborn also. And that is why the newborn can develop tense blisters on their skin. Understood, Shweta? Understood why the newborns develop the lesion? ठीक है जी? चलो, very nice. The next question is on your computer screen. Please read the question carefully. It's very interesting and I'm sure that you'll be able to answer it. Please read it carefully. Aruna, Naresh, Abhi, Keta, Saf, very nice. Bavitran, Zoya, good. Now, okay, so not many of you have answered it correctly. Just read the last line. Perifollicular orange red fluorescence. What type of fluorescence you will see in vitiligo? Anyone? What type of fluorescence or what is the color which you see in vitiligo when you do a Woods lamp? Yes, it is ivory white. It is ivory white. What color you see in pityriasis versicolor? You see yellow color. And post-inflammatory hypopigmentation is usually either white or no fluorescence. So the orangish red or perifollicular orangish red fluorescence is very, very classical of progressive macular hypomelanosis, which occurs because of propionibacterium acne. It occurs because of propionibacterium acne. Understood this condition or this question? Please give me a thumbs up, all of you. Very nice. The next question is on your computer screen. Fatafat se, very quickly, tell me the answer here. Nice, very nice. Tychoplanin, you have answered the question in 1.8 seconds. Very nice. Very quickly, you have answered it. 53-year-old lady presented to medical assessment unit with a flu-like illness and myalgia. With a flu-like illness or myalgia. In the last few days, she has noticed a rash across her back. She has no other symptoms, and on examination, she looks unwell. There is no erythematous rash across her back, but you can see proximal muscle weakness. Very nice, all of you. Very well done. Please remember the correct answer is dermatomyositis. Cutaneous feature along with proximal muscle weakness, very classical of dermatomyositis. And can anybody tell me here which is the characteristic or the most specific cutaneous feature of dermatomyositis? Which is the most specific feature? We have a lot of features like heliotrope rash, shawl sign, mechanic hands, holster sign, Gottron's papules, everything. Yes, among all these, Gottron's papules and plaque is considered to be the most specific. Very nice, chalo ji, good, badhiya. Next question. 70-year-old female with pruritic eruptions on her lower abdomen thigh since 10 days. There is a tense bulla, an erythematous base with absence of oral erosions, and Nikolsky sign is negative. When you did the biopsy, we can see a subepidermal blisters with inflammatory infiltrate of eosinophil. What is your diagnosis? Very nice. Tariq, Archana, Bavitran, Shweta, Samira, Pratik, Nana, Keta. Very nice, all of you. The correct answer is bullous pemphigoid. And what are the points favoring the diagnosis? Age. Bullous pemphigoid is a disease of elderly, associated itching and urticarial plaque, tense lesion, negative Nikolsky and oral erosions absent, and on doing a biopsy, subepidermal blisters with inflammatory infiltrate. All these points favors the diagnosis of bullous pemphigoid. Next question. I hope you are enjoying the questions today. Very nice, very nice. So 6-year-old boy was diagnosed with Downs and he presented with warty crust on hand and feet, severe fissuring and scaling of the skin present on the buttock. What is the possible diagnosis? So one thing is clear that it is a case of scabies because all the four options are from scabies. But now the confusion is what form of scabies? Can you tell me which form of scabies is characterized by presence of crusty lesions or crusted scabies is alternate name of? Very nice. The answer is Norwegian scabies, also known as crusted scabies, and it is the most severe form of scabies. Now, why it is most severe? Because in these individuals, the itching is absent. And because of absence of itching, patients do not visit healthcare facility and the scabies might proliferate a lot, causing eczematous lesions on the body. So please remember this is a severe form called as Norwegian, mainly occurs in immunocompromised or those who have some psychological illness like Down syndrome, mental retardation. Elderly debilitating patients can also have the uh, crusted forms or Norwegian scabies. Next question. Please answer this question. I hope you all can see the poll. Very nice, all of you. Very well done. Good, good. Very nice. Samira, Tariq, Naresh, Zoya, Ravi, Bavitran, Shweta, Vaishnavi, Rajat, Jasmine, Taiko Planan, Lavanya. Very nice, all of you. Okay. Ji. So 52-year-old female presented to the dermatology ward with pruritic erythematous migratory plaque showing vesicles and crusting at the margins. You have stomatitis, weight loss, and when you did the investigation, you could see there is raised glucagon and blood sugar. Please remember, this is a classical example of paraneoplastic syndrome known as necrolytic migratory erythema, and it is seen in the patients with underlying glucagonoma. Okay? Can you tell me where you see erythema gyratum repens? Anyone? Where do you see erythema gyratum repens? It is seen in lung malignancy, and acantholytis nigricans maligna is a feature of GI adenocarcinoma, while necrobiosis lipoidica diabeticorum is a feature of diabetes mellitus. It is not a paraneoplastic condition. Next question. 10-month-old infant with fever, skin tenderness, presence of blistering, crusted erosions, especially on the perioral skin. Mucosa is spared. This is very important point here. And he gives a history of ear infection 2 weeks back. These 2 points will actually favor you in making the diagnosis. I'm seeing that not many of you are able to answer the questions. If you're targeting INI-CT, it's a high time. Please join any of my plus course, whether past or the upcoming. Please do join using the referral code CHESTA10. Join because there are many questions which you get from dermatology, around 10 to 12 questions on an average every year. So please be very clear with your dermatology concepts. Ravi, it will be coming in the next month, most probably in the first week. I'll be definitely updating you with the time and date as soon as I get it. Now, here you have to remember that it is a classical example of staphylococcal scarlet skin syndrome. So, what happens whenever a child develops ear infections or throat infections, there is accumulation of Staphylococcus aureus. Sometimes this Staphylococcus aureus, it releases a toxin which is known as exfoliative toxin, which enters the blood and reaches the skin. And this exfoliative toxin will then cause the damage to desmoglein 1, giving rise to erosions. But please remember, the mucosa is spared because desmoglein 1 is absent in oral mucosa. And that is how you can easily differentiate it from the other differential diagnosis. Clear, all of you? Next question. Very nice, Vijay, Saf, Pratik, Ravi, Aim, Afrida, Vaishnavi, Dr. Sarita, Archana, Zoya, Kumar. Very nice, all of you. Please remember the correct answer is tuberous sclerosis. What are what are these multiple red firm papules which are present on the face? Can you tell me what are these lesions which are present over face? These are angiokeratomas or adenoma sebaceum. And what are these lanceolate hypopigmented macules? These are ash leaf spots. These are ash leaf spots. So I hope this is clear to all of you. Very interesting question, and there is no doubt in this. Okay. So this is how a patient of tuberous sclerosis present. Now we have another question. You have to tell me which among the following is the correct answer. Which among the following is the correct answer? Very nice, very nice. A 2-month-old male presented with severe itching, irritability, generalized erythematous papule, pustules, vesicles, history of intense nocturnal itching with web space involvement present in the mother and the elder brother. What is the correct statement? Here, the correct answer is option number 1. Can you tell me what is the diagnosis? What is the diagnosis? Yes, it's a case of scabies. In scabies, 5% permethrin, which works against the sodium channel, is the treatment of choice. Topical sulfur is actually used in infants or considered to be a treatment option for infants. Oral ivermectin works against GABA-gated chloride channel, and topical linane cannot be given safely in a child or pregnant females. So the only correct statement is option number 1. Next question. 9-year-old girl with appearance of multiple vesicles which enlarge to form flaccid bullae which have purulent content, and when they rupture they leave behind brown crusting. What is the most likely cause of the disease? Autoantibodies against hemidesmosome, desmosomes, linear deposition of IgA, or infection by staphylococcus. Again, only 21 students have given me the answer. The correct answer is infection by Staphylococcus aureus or Bullous impetigo. Do you know what is Bullous impetigo? Anyone? What is Bullous impetigo? Bullous impetigo, it is a bacterial infection where you have subcorneal split and the content has purulent content. The bulla has purulent content. This point differentiate it from the other options. Why it is not option number 1? Because autoantibodies against hemidesmosole component is a feature of bullous pemphigoid. And what we have discussed that bullous pemphigoid is a disease of elderly. Okay? So it cannot be this option. While for both these, the presence of purulent contents rule out the diagnosis. Next question. I hope you can see the poll. Very nice. Zoya, Nana, Sarita, Pratik, Ravi. Very nice, all of you. Very nice. Anyone has any confusion? So, presence of recurrent episodes of flexural eczema, contact urticaria, recurrent skin infections, severe abdominal pain and diarrhea, all these are the minor criteria. And if you remember, what was the diagnostic criteria for atopic dermatitis? Rajkas and Hanafins. And it says that itching plus either 2 major or 3 minor criteria will help you make the diagnosis. And here we have actually more than 3 criteria. And that is why this becomes a case of option number 2, atopic dermatitis. Next question. "36-year-old male from Bihar comes with the complaint of hypopigmented macules over the trunk face. The nerves and the sensations are tested to be normal. There's no scaling which is visible, and the patient gives a history of prolonged fever 2 years back, for which he was tested or for which he was treated. What is the drug of choice for the following condition? What is the drug of choice for the following conditions?" Very nice, everyone, everybody, very, very nice. EP, is it amphotericin B? See, please remember you can give any drug except MDT leprosy, amphotericin B, sodium stibogluconate, and miltefosine. All these 3 can be given. Now, first of all, this is a classical case of post-Kala-Azar dermal leishmaniasis. And for PKDL, the drug of choice is considered to be miltefosine, which is an oral drug. Understood, Ravi? I hope this is clear to all of you. So the drug of choice for post-Kala-Azar dermal leishmaniasis, which presents with multiple hypopigmented macules, followed by development of multiple juicy papules or nodules, you have to treat the patient with miltefosine. Okay. And what is this? The prolonged fever 2 years back. It is actually Kala-Azar. So after 2 years of Kala-Azar, patient develops post-Kala-Azar dermal leishmaniasis. ठीक है जी. Next question. Anyone has any confusion? Tychoplanin, I'm not able to understand. What is your doubt? Lamb drug of choice, what does it mean? Can you rewrite your question? I'm not able to understand your doubt. So, a 22-year-old farmer who has trauma in his left foot while walking barefoot in the fields for 3 years, he has presented with development of warty growth over the left foot. On doing the biopsy, the report reveals brown colored bodies. What is your diagnosis? Please remember the correct answer is chromoblastomycosis. This is characteristic copper penny bodies, also known as sclerotic bodies, also known as medullary bodies. ठीक है? Okay, जी. What is option number D? Pheohyphomycosis. Who have asked me this question? Doctor, pheohyphomycosis is also an example of subcutaneous fungal infection. It presents clinically as a thick, indurated, linear plaque or nodule inside the skin. The presentation is different and the fungal species is different, but it belongs to the same category, that is subcutaneous fungal infection. Okay? Liposomal amphotericin B in PKDL tychoplanin. Amphotericin B works very well against fungus. For parasitic, you can give it, but definitely sodium stevogluconate and miltefosine are considered to be the drug of choice or the better options. Okay? Now here, I don't know why everybody have answered this. DIF was negative. Please remember, in EB acquisita, DIF will be positive. And what will you see? You will see IgG antibodies against collagen 7, which are arranged in a linear pattern. But EB dystrophica will have no antibodies and you will see presence of lesions on the extensors. Ravi, Porphyria cutanea tarda, what is the confusion? Is there any confusion in option number 3? Porphyria cutanea tarda is an example of porphyrias, and you should have presence of photosensitivity for making the diagnosis of porphyria. Okay. Please remember, EB dystrophica can have negative family history also. You can have negative family history also. It is not always necessary to have a positive family history. Understood? Because of improper penetration. I hope you remember that. Okay, ji, understood? Any more doubts? Any more confusions? Ravi, I hope your doubt is clear. Okay. Very nice, Sarita. Okay, did I mark option number 2? Very, very sorry. The answer here is option number 3. I'm very sorry because I can see that I've marked option number 2. It cannot be tinea corporis because you have central scarring. So everybody is right except those whose names are coming here because the answer is option number 3. And by mistake, I've marked it tinea corporis. You never develop scarring in patients of tinea corporis. Please remember, you will never develop scarring in a patient of tinea corporis. The next question is on your computer screen. Very nice, Shrishti, Parik, Jasmine. Very well done, all of you. A woman who is 40-year-old with an 8-month history of erythema, swelling of the periorbital region, and papules and plaque on the dorsolateral aspect of the forearm knuckles with ragged cuticle, with no muscle weakness. Please remember, even if there is no muscle weakness, the diagnosis remains dermatomyositis only, and this is actually a variant of dermatomyositis which is called as amyopathic dermatomyositis. Okay, so there is a variant which is known as amyopathic dermatomyositis where the muscle involvement is not seen, but the cutaneous classic involvements like heliotrope rash and Gottron's papule along with ragged cuticle is seen. Clear, all of you, with this question? Next question is on your screen. Very nice, very nice. Saif, Dr. Nadia, Archana, Shrishti, Parik, Keta, Samira, Prapanjeshwari, Vipin, Ravi, Venkateshan, very nice. Afrida, Paramjeet, Dr. Cardio, very nice and amazing, all of you. Please remember, whenever you have a triad of abdominal pain, you have presence of purpuric lesions along with arthritis or joint involvement and glomerulonephritis. Think about Hinoch Schönlein purpura, which is a small vessel vasculitis, very, very classical association with abdominal pain. And when you do the biopsy, you will see the depositions of IgA in the blood vessels. So this is a small vessel vasculitis with IgA deposition. Very nice, Shrishti, Sarita, Parekh, Archana. 40-year-old farmers with itching, blistering on the exposed surface, few scars which are visible, and the patient complains of exacerbation in the summer. This is a case of very nice, very nice. So please remember, it's a classical case of Porphyria cutanea tarda. It's a classical case of Porphyria cutanea tarda, which presents with PCT presents with a very, very classical presentation. Patient mainly give you a history that as soon as he goes out under the sun, the skin starts to feel burning, and after few minutes or after few hours of burning sensation, small blisters start to appear, and these blisters heal with scarring. So that is how Porphyria cutanea tarda patients usually present with. Clear all of you with this question? Very nice, all of you. The next question is on your computer screen. Very nice, Shrishti, Samira, Pratik, Vaishnavi, Archana, Sarita, Vipin. Very, very nice. A patient comes into the clinic with unilateral blue-brown speckled patch involving the malar face. The biopsy shows increased number of elongated dendritic melanocytes which are scattered throughout the dermis. You have normal collagen pattern. Which of the following is the correct diagnosis? Please remember a very classical feature of nevus of Ota. What are the points in favor? The bluish discoloration tells you that the pigment is in the dermis. And second is distribution over the trigeminal nerve, that is face, which is unilateral. Very, very classical of nevus of Ota. Understood this question? Anyone has any confusion? Next question. I think it's a repeat question and you all can answer this very, very easily. Now my question is, which is the, okay, first tell me the diagnosis, then I will ask you the question. Very nice, Pratik, Samira, Vaishnavi, Zoya, Shrishti, Rajat, Aim. Very nice. It's a classical case of fixed drug eruption. Now, my question is, can you tell me what is the most common site for fixed drug eruption? What are the most common sites for fixed drug eruption? Yes, it is the mucosa, lips or genitals. Genitals are even more common than lips. And second is, which is the most common drug? So please remember painkillers and sulfa group of drug. They both are the common drugs which causes fixed drug eruption. The next question is on your computer screen. A 45-year-old alcoholic male with erythematous to hyperpigmented scaly plaque on bilateral hand and feet of 3-week duration. There is a clear demarcation between involved and uninvolved skin. What is the likely diagnosis? Yes, very nice. Vaishnavi, Shrishti, Nareshwar, Saf. Whenever alcoholic patient presents to you with well-defined lesions on the sun-exposed areas, It is a classical feature. It is a classical feature of pellagra. Very, very classical feature of pellagra, which is vitamin B3 deficiency. And can you tell me what is the name given to the lesion which occurs on the chest for these individuals? What is the name given to the lesions which occurs on the chest in these individuals? Yes, they are known as Cassell's necklace. They are known as Cassell's necklace. Oh, very nice. Very nice, Samira. 55-year-old male presented with itchy lichenified hyperpigmented plaque over forehead, nose, and the V area of the neck for 5 years. There was sparing of the upper eyelid and skin crease, and he gives a history of photosensitivity. What is the most likely diagnosis? What is the most likely diagnosis? Very, very nice. Very nice, all of you. Please remember the correct answer is photodermatitis. Only the convex part or the sun exposed part is involved, but the creases are actually spared. This helps you differentiate photodermatitis from airborne contact dermatitis. This helps in differentiating airborne from photodermatitis. Next question. Very nice. Shrishti, Zoya, Surbi, Dr. Then Rupal, Dr. Surya, Archana, Sarita, Vaishnavi, Prapanjeshwari, Anil. Very nice, all of you. And actually, it's a very interesting question. Now, the question says that patient developed primary syphilis 6 months back, and following which he was not treated properly. The treatment of choice is actually penicillin, but he was given an improper drug, and that is why he progressed to the secondary syphilitic stage after 2 months. After a few days, patient becomes absolutely fine. So patient is actually entered into the latent phase of the syphilis after secondary. And in latent phase, when the patient again developed the primary syphilitic canker or primary syphilitic lesions, this is classically known as early relapsing syphilis. Usually, syphilis should progress from primary to secondary to latent and to tertiary. But sometimes in latent syphilis, it can again go to primary, and this is known as relapse of syphilis. Clear? This is known as relapse of syphilis. Anyone has any confusion with this question? Please give me a quick thumbs up. Okay. I'll give you only 15 seconds to solve this. Very nice. Samira, Zoya, Shweta, Jasmine, Shrishti, Ketha, Dr. Cardio. Very nice. Please remember the answer is basal cell carcinoma, small nodule on the sun exposed area which got ulcerated in the center, which got ulcerated, very classical of nodular cystic basal cell carcinoma. Anyone with this question? 15 seconds. 30-year-old with depigmented patches on the medial aspect of both foot, feathery margins, rest of the physical examination normal. Which of the following drug you will not use? Yes. Can you tell me what is the diagnosis here? Where do you see this feathery margin? Anyone? Arzu, Shubra, Husna? It is a case of vitiligo. And in vitiligo, you can give steroids, you can give topical calcineurin inhibitors, and you can give psoralins or phototherapy, but there is no role of topical keratolytic agents or retinoids in a patient of vitiligo. So option number 2 is the option or the answer in this particular question. Next question. We have discussed a very similar question in the beginning of the today's session. Let us see how many of you remember it. Very nice. Shweta, Lavanya, Shrishti, Rajat, Prateek, AIM, Dr. Cardio, Dr. Nadia, very, very nice, all of you. Now, if you remember in the beginning, what did I teach? That there are two type of pigmentary disorder, hypo and hyper. In hypo, we have congenital and acquired, and congenital causes are these four. Piebaldism and Waardenburg have a characteristic white forelock. How to differentiate between Griscelli and Chidak-Higashi? Please remember in Griscelli, eyes are normal. So you can see here that eyes are normal. And that is why the answer is Griscelli syndrome in this particular question. Did you all understand? Very, very important for all of you. Because I've seen a lot of questions being asked from this particular topic. So that is why I've given you multiple questions from this topic. Understood? A 30-year-old male, can you answer this question very, very quickly? Very nice, very nice. 30-year-old male presented with peeling of skin and erosion in the mucosa. 50% of the body surface area is involved, and you have hemorrhagic cheilitis or crust. Can you tell me what could be the diagnosis here? What can be the diagnosis here, anyone? Yes, it is a case of toxic epidermal necrolysis, and the diagnosis is that of drugs. So I think we are done with almost majority of the questions. I request all of you to please give me a thumbs up if you like this class. I want you to subscribe Unacademy using the referral code CHESTA10. Please do follow us on the Telegram group of Unacademy, that is Let's Crack NEET PG. And I request all of you to please subscribe because we have amazing offers going on. So please use my code CHESTA10, my name and 10 in front of it to get additional 10% discount. Till then, take care, good day, all the best, and bye bye.